What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to talk about Territory War Galactic Legends and kind of build a tier list with you guys and give you guys my opinion on which Galactic Legends you should strongly encourage your guild to finish off. When I say finish off, I mean, get that nice round number, that nice 50. Because I know a lot of guilds, especially in that mid-range, you have a lot of people that are, when you look at your .gg page for your guild, it just shows like 40s, or might have some mid to low 30s on some GLs. So I'm gonna kind of build this tier list with you guys. We'll talk about the viability and kind of like the importance of Galactic Legends, because I do believe there are some Galactic Legends that are completely different in GAC. Some of them are better, some of them are worse, and then it kind of flip flops for TW. So let's go ahead and get to that tier list real quick, and then we'll get started. All right, so first and foremost, and again, I'm not saying force anybody to do anything. Like I said, strongly encourage certain Galactic Legends to finish off. That way you guys get that nice wall, or at least however many people you sign up in Territory Wars, at least hopefully everyone will have, one of each GL. That's the, the best case scenario. So first, right off the rip, is Rey. I know a lot of people don't like Rey. I know a lot of people got the Lightspeed bundles, and maybe the people that missed out on Lightspeed bundles said they're waiting for the Lightspeed bundles to come back. This is the one GL I would say farm regardless on if her Lightspeed bundles are coming back or not. Rey is insanely good in this game, guys. Like, there's a reason everyone calls her the Queen of Defense. So she goes in the 99.99% defense category. She's a staple. She's always going to be on defense. Even when they make changes to TW, if they ever do, she will still remain on defense, in my opinion. There are instances where she goes on offense, but it happens so sparingly and so in such specific situations that it's just chalked up as like an outlier, so I'm not even going to bring it up. But get Rey, guys. Super easy character to mod. You don't even need Ben. That's the best part, because Ben's Omis are GAC related. So, I mean, Ben does kind of elevate the team, but you can run a very successful Rey defense without Ben, in my opinion. You can go full Rebel. I mean, you can do almost anything with her. You can throw Dark Side with her, whether it's with the current meta, you're throwing Reva on her team, or Reva lead under Rey. Or you can just, throw Malik there to throw people off. But, I mean, you don't need Malik there because Starkiller doesn't work against Rey and TW. So, again, she's really, really good. And because her primary counter, which is Starkiller, in GAC, or at least it is one of her primary counters, that doesn't work. That just elevates her defense viability even more. Rey will make your opponent bleed. If not, sometimes completely hold and stall out your opponent and make them throw so many teams at Rey that they're just going to run out of gas for whatever you have next. So probably the most important character to get everyone in your guild finish off Rey. The next Galactic Legend, it's really close on a tie in who's, in my opinion, the second most important to farm, but I would highly recommend JML. And JML goes in the mostly offense category. JML is going to be probably one of your best counters for Rey. So you kind of see how this pattern is going to be working here. JML is extremely good right now with the meta, but he's extremely good on offense, period. You're going to be using him to kill Rey because Rey can be a very, very... Rey is I think she's harder to kill in TW than she is in GAC. Which is funny because, like I said, Ben doesn't have his Omis, but it doesn't really matter sometimes. There's a lot of other Omis you got to consider, like the Cal Kestis Omi with Fulcrum. Sometimes it just throws everything off. But JML is mostly on offense. Every once in a while, he'll show up on defense. But for the most part, you're going to be taking him on offense at least 80% of the time. He can kill things other than Rey again, but again, he's kind of like Rey is like his main target in terms of a counter. All right, the next one, and then again, these next couple are very close in terms of priority, but I'm gonna go with SLKR. SLKR is gonna be on offense like 99% of the time. In the gauntlet, he'll show up on defense every now and then just to kind of trip people up. Like, they'll do stuff where they'll put him with sometimes Sith Empire just to give Darth Revan that much extra speed, and it's just like it's one of those teams where it's like, well, we have everything planned out, we're going to be using this team for this team, and this kind of just randomly pops up, it's not gonna get holds. I mean, it might get holds, but it's meant to bleed banners because like in the gauntlet, it's like 20s or die pretty much. But outside the gauntlet, guys, SLKR is gonna be on offense pretty much all the time. SLKR Night Sisters is a very, very good counter. It's a very cheap counter to get full banners on because, you know, you have Daka and Zombie constantly reviving each other. So it's a really good team to, you know, take out Malgus with. Sometimes you can just do SLKR solo against certain Malgus teams. Really helps save a lot of banners. Plus, it also gives you your Hux and your Phasma team and kind of leaves you those to be like a separate team in itself because the Phasma Army is really, really strong in TW. So SLKR is a very good budget Galactic Legend and a really good Galactic Legend that also just kind of saves you an entire team. Really, really good. Again, really easy to get. These, you know, Rey and SLKR, they're really easy to get. I wouldn't wait for their Lightspeed bundles to come back. Alright, next up on the list. Next on the list, we have another Dark Side Galactic Legend. It's going to be Sith Eternal Emperor. And I'm going to put him after, like, if characters are in the same category, I'm going to prioritize farming them left to right. I'm also trying to go in order in this video to make it easy. But Sith Eternal Emperor, he's going to be mostly on offense. Every now and then he'll show up on defense to trip people up, you know, to try to, like, bleed banners. But for the most part, he is a fun, free, get-out-of-jail-free card. Some of the best uses for Sith Eternal Emperor is C plus 1. So C plus Armorer, C plus Set. You can do C plus Town. I guess now it's C and Bane. I guess that's the combo now. But for the most part, it is another team that's, you know, doesn't require a whole lot of characters, and it can kill something that's pretty annoying. So, Star Killer, for example, like, there's so many different variations of Star Killer in TW. You're gonna have like the Malgus comp, you're gonna have the Treya comp, the EP Mara comp. Sometimes Mara's not there, so you can always, you know, use C to just like link up whoever's pre-taunting if there's a pre-taunter, and then Star Killer, and then kind of, and as Juhani's there, you know, you're probably gonna get her too. It's a really good team that gets, like, it gets 19s a lot. That's the only bad thing about C, is you're gonna get a lot of 19s because usually your +1 ends up dying. Oh yeah, Watt's another good example too for people that don't have Trench. It's another good character to run with C. But for the most part, it's a good, just like, this team looks complicating, I don't want to throw too many teams at this wall, we'll just throw C at it and, you know, kind of move on. It's like a, I don't want to say it's like a sim button, because I mean most C battles are the same. It's just link up and then, you know, clench your butt cheeks so that you don't die, and then, you know, just zap everybody. It's really good against the Keller and Beck team. I know a lot of people are doing that right now. Keller and Beck is kind of a tricky team at the moment with his Datacron, but, you know, you throw C in there and you should be fine. All right, next up we have our first 50-50 character, and that's going to be Jabba. Jabba is interesting. Jabba is like the only GL that has both light and dark side on his team, so sometimes he gets good Datacrons, sometimes he doesn't. And the thing with Jabba is, I feel like he has so many teams that can counter him depending on the Datacron meta. I know Phoenix at a point were just running right over him. I think Imperial Troopers, when they had like the buff or turn meter cron, like they would just like out turn meter to the team, and Dark Trooper would just run over everybody. Jabba's interesting, but Jabba's also a good counter to things like Leia. Jabba's also a good counter to what else? JMK. I don't know if people are even running that counter anymore, but Jabba's kind of a mid GL in TW. You can 2-tap him pretty easily with a lot of teams. Like you can use Adrad and the Jin Omicron to like take out Boosh, Boba, or maybe one other character like Skiff, and then go in and clean up with CLS or something like that. So he's not so much of an obstacle. Like he shouldn't be a issue. Like he shouldn't be like Rey, where he just completely stops your opponent. If he stops your opponent, that means they probably just ran out of gas early, or they probably just threw in the towel. Yeah, Jabba is kind of whatever. He's a little tricky to beat on defense sometimes, but for the most part, I think a lot of people got Jabba figured out right now. Which really begs the question on if we're ever going to get Bib Fortuna as a Jabba lifter. I mean, I know they said when they announced Ben, they said they were going to revisit old Galactic Legends and give them lifters, and we really haven't gotten really. I mean, I guess technically Bane is a sea lifter. But other than that, other than Ben and Bane, I was like gonna say Ben and C. Ben and Bane. That sounds like an ice cream company. Um, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get Bib Fortuna. And the Jabba team is pretty crowded already. I feel like you have one space to remove, and that's kind of like it's like Skiff or whoever the other one is. Anyways, moving on. The next GL is gonna be Leia. Leia, I'm gonna put her on mostly defense. She's not always gonna be on defense. She can be a counter to Rey, but Rey is very tricky. Rey is very tricky with the timing. If Rey goes to alt and you blow your alt the wrong time, it's just not going to end well. Plus Whirlwind being able to prevent revives kind of negates Leia's alt a little bit. I know Leia can beat Rey in GAC, but it's just a little bit different in TW. And the other thing too is Leia doesn't have any TW Omis. I know the Farm Boy Omi exists, but it doesn't really change or elevate the Leia team to the effect of like Ben does in GAC for Rey. So I'm gonna put Leia on mostly defense, and then we'll get to the last two. Okay, up next we have JMK, and I'm gonna put JMK right next to Jabba in the 50-50 category. So, and I'm actually gonna put him second to Jabba. I prioritize Jabba over JMK. So JMK kinda is like, I know a lot of people are probably, it's probably a hot take, a lot of people are probably saying like JMK is so good. It's like, well, you have to consider the fact that you need Cat for JMK to be good. There's a lot of guilds out there where people just don't have Cat. JMK is really good right now because we're in a Galactic Republic / Jedi meta right now. So Keller and Beck and Kiadi Mundi are just insane with JMK right now with the right Datacron. But without Cat, the JMK team is completely different. Inquisitors are also beating, JMK. I mean, that just goes without saying. Like GI lead or Reva lead, either or, depending on the meta, really kind of bully JMK and just kind of prevent him from doing what he's supposed to do. JMK is also really good for taking out stuff like Rey, or I want to say it's good at taking out Rey, but I've seen a lot of people in my time, not talking about the Gauntlet, I'm just saying overall, I've seen a lot of people use JMK Cat against Rey, and they still either time out or fail completely. Yeah, JMK it's so weird for a Galactic Legend as powerful as he was that came out. Like I feel like he was so limiting on so many things that the fact that he kind of limits himself. Yeah, like I'm not saying he's bad, but man, like if you don't have Cat, it really is kind of a deal breaker. I'm not gonna rate him on whether you have Cat or not. I still think he still is like 50-50. I think without Cat, like because we're in the Datacron meta, I think you can get away with more things than you normally would. But yeah, I think without Cat, I would say he would move to the mostly defense category. I just realized I typed that backwards. Oh well. Then this one. They're mirroring each other. That's fine. Okay, last one is Lord Vader. And where do I want to put Lord Vader? Where do I want to put Lord Vader? Because when he first came out, it was like up here. And then it kind of went to here. And then it was here. And then sometimes he's here. And then there was one meta that he was here. So I'm just going to put him right in the middle and put him after JMK, because I feel like out of all the Galactic Legends we've had, Lord Vader, it has just like shifted so much in terms of like where he belongs in TW. And I know there's the whole meme of Lord Failure. Everyone picks on him that he's the worst Galactic Legend. And it's so weird. It's like one meta, Lord Vader's unstoppable. The other one, he's getting rolled over by Phoenix. He's getting rolled over by Veers. He's getting rolled over, obviously, Sign of Django, almost targeting that team specifically with his Omicrons. Yeah, Lord Vader, it's like, unless you have, like, just the most insane setup and the thing with Lord Vader is, like, you need the perfect stats for him. Lord Vader is a stat monster and a stat machine, like, for his whole team. If you don't have the right Datacron stats, he's gonna get rolled over. I think he's also a very, very easy team to two-shot. Like if you wipe out everybody, including Royal Guard, you can just send in Mon Mothma, you can send in, like Imp Troopers or whatever. Um, yeah, Lord Vader really kind of. I mean, you can use him on offense though too. Like I know sometimes people use him on offense against teams like let's see, what would you see on defense? I don't know if he works on Leia. I don't think that's a thing. I know sometimes they use him on offense against Jabba or JMK. Um, Maybe JML, but JML you're almost never gonna see on defense. I know a lot of people say that Maul is Lord Vader's lifter. I don't think Lord Vader needs a lifter. I just think it's unfortunate how many teams kind of get around him. I think the fact that he can't ignore taunt really is probably one of his biggest faults. I think if he was able to ignore taunt, or at least only him, while he was in alt, I think that might make things a little bit more different in terms of like his viability. But yeah, there's just a lot of limiting factors with Lord Vader, and there's so many ways around him right now in TW. It's just bounty hunters are usually a go-to. Even people that I've even seen it where people try to do like they try to juice up the Lord Vader team as much as they can. Like they'll be like an Inquisitor or an Ufu or an Empire, a Datacron meta, and people will load up Lord Vader with like Reva, Grand Inquisitor, Seventh Sister, Royal Guard. Like they'll just make this team an absolute brick house and just like a nightmare. And it's like, okay, well, bounty hunters can also just change a couple things around and they'll be fine. So, yeah. But anyways, guys, this is gonna be the list for TW in terms of priorities on where to farm. Like I said, I'm recommending going for Ray first. Like I said, I went in order like Ray, JML, who was next? I think it was SLKR and then C and so on and so forth. That's my recommendation. I think the best way to go about this is take a look at your guild and see like what's closer for you guys. If you guys are only off by like 2 or 3 rays, I would say finish those rays. If you need like only 5 more Jabbas and everyone else you need like 10 more, finish your Jabbas. This is probably, and obviously the dream is to get everybody to have everything. That's the goal, but realistically you're always going to be losing members and getting new members that are just missing a bunch. But I think it's important to set these guidelines and standards for your guild and say like, hey, we're trying to get competitive, or we are a competitive TW guild, and we would highly we would really appreciate it if you went after X, Y, and Z first and prioritize those. That's not new. That's kind of like everywhere. Any guild, even outside the Gauntlet I've been to, they kind of give me their laundry list of the checkoff list. And the thing is, when you're doing that, don't ever expect someone to have everything checked off. Like you're always gonna have things missing because every guild does things differently. Some guilds prioritize A, B, and C. Other guilds prioritize X, Y, and Z. So I would always just say, and going into a new guild, you should expect that too. You should expect, when you're transitioning guilds, it's just like going to a new job. You're going to have a list of requirements to do, and you just kind of have to adapt. But obviously, the end goal is the same for everybody by getting all the GLs, getting as much as you can to build that roster. But like I said, there is a difference. And like I think if you look at GAC versus TW, this list is probably somewhat similar, but there's some major changes. I think the biggest drop-offs in GAC compared to TW is probably that 50-50 zone. I think Jabba, JMK, and Lord Vader, I just think they might be a little bit more viable on defense in GAC. In TW, they definitely fall off, in my opinion. I think for the most part, the rest of the list is probably fairly accurate. Maybe Leia will drop down to the 50-50 zone for GAC. But I think for the most part, it's kind of the same for everything else. Anyways, guys, I hope this video helps you and your guild or your officers for TW. I'll be going into the conquest units next and kind of going over like all the like the Sign of Django, the Grand Inquisitor. Well, Grand Inquisitor was a conquest, but you know what I mean. The triple Omi TW characters, and kind of prioritize on which ones to go for first, and kind of their viability. Other than that, guys, take care. Have a good one, and I'll catch you all in the next video. See ya.